Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Raise the Vibe with Liz. I'm your host, Liz Peterson, and today I have Katie Kozlowski with me. She is a master energy coach, transformational powerhouse, and the creator of the ShaktiBOMB method, which works with sacred feminine energy in simple and relatable ways and teaches you how to become your own creative powerhouse. Having been through the journey herself from the heights to rock bottom and back again, she openly shares her unique stories and experiences as teaching tools alongside ancient wisdom and sacred teachings, and is widely known for accessibility, compassion, and joy, as well as her ability to make even the darkest journeys sound fun. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hi.
So excited to have you here today, and thank you to our mutual friend for introducing us so we
Yes.
could see your amazing program. You're going to
Yeah.
be doing an immersion here in a couple weeks for everyone. So why don't you start by sharing a little bit about what got you to where you are today? What was your journey to today in creating this immersion program?
Sure.
Yeah.
The very truncated version of the story. Otherwise, we'd be here for we could do a whole mini series on it. I grew up in around a lot of alcoholism, suicide. My grandmother was in a coma. So I grew up around a lot of trauma. And I wasn't really aware of how much I was affected by that trauma until I got older, as all of us, right? And I was functioning, but I struggled all through my teenage years. I struggled in my 20s, and I was 29 years old, and I had moved to New York City to be an actress, and was struggling in that area. And it was just kind of like, on the surface, everything looked great. But underneath it all, I was in a lot of trouble. Like, I was battling depression. I was drinking too much. I was in abusive relationships. I was, just really, really, really struggling to be happy. But I didn't actually know that I was struggling, because I had kind of convinced myself that everything was okay. And then when I was 29, I was walking home from work one night. I was working as a whiskey ambassador at the time, which meant I was in bars. And my boyfriend at the time, who was just awful, stood me up, didn't show up. And I was so devastated that I guess that would be a rock bottom moment, because I got hit by a taxi that night. And when I got hit by the taxi, it was sort of an accident, but it was, I like to say, I knew what I was doing, and there was a secret part of me that wished that it would, I wanted it to hit me. And so I got hit by this taxi, and what happened was, I was not hurt. I wasn't dirty. I got full on, like, I was going 35 miles an hour. I should have died. And I was standing in the street. Like, I got hit. I rolled in the hood of the car. I rolled in the street, and then I was standing, like, on 2 feet. And it didn't make sense. Like, people saw it. No one really understood what happened, but I understood what happened. And what when I walked I walked home that night. I mean, I got hit by a taxi, I walked home. And
Wow.
when I was walking home, I had this moment where I just started this new conversation with the universe and God. And I said, okay, I hear you. I'm sorry. I know I'm not living life as if I matter. I'm not using my gifts. I'm not valuing myself. Um, and I'm sorry. Please don't ever hit me with a car again. I don't want to live a life like this. And so that was the beginning of the realization of, like, wow, everything's not okay. And I need to make some changes. So that put me on the journey of the next 11 years. That was 11 years ago now. Studying with masters, learning healing modalities, doing introspective work, really working to heal myself, and also build this methodology. I call it a methodology because it's a whole system that I put together of healing and transformation that comes from the feminine. So it's all about compassion, acceptance, expression, emotion, imagination. Um, and over the last 11 years, I've just been practicing it myself, and eventually started teaching it.
That's beautiful, Katie.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you for
It's
sharing that with us. What were some of your experiences over that 11 years of healing?
Oh man, I mean, obviously a lot, right? So many different things. So I had a spiritual teacher, right? I chose a man, which is always fascinating because it's very interesting who you choose, when you choose, what you choose. And, I chose this man who was a brilliant teacher, and so much of what I teach, I learned from him. But the one thing about him that I experienced was he wasn't very um, available. Like when I saw him work with other people, I saw his compassion and I loved that so much. And I knew I was looking for love. I was looking for love and acceptance, right? I was like looking for the compassion, but I didn't get it from him. I had this very sort of abrasive journey with him. And so that was part of something that I had to learn for myself was, the difference between um, what a teacher can be for you and their responsibility. Um, and my own responsibility to heal. And I think that's one of the big reasons why I'm so adamant about the empowered healing and the empowered living and the empowered choices,
Mhm.
so that people don't get attached to their teacher or the modality or the story, or because I really struggled with that. And that was probably the biggest thing, was that I went through this journey where I was with my teacher for so many years, devoted. I was a devotee. And then um, I realized I had to take a step back and be on my own. And when I did that, then came the next layer of healing, which was the abandonment and the judgment and the fear of not being good enough, and um, being isolated from the community. And so have seen so many different sides of healing that I think that's something that I cherish. That I kind of took the time, 11 years is a long time to really work on yourself, you know?
And it really is a journey, and kind of a never ending journey, because as we go through life and hit those different stages, we kind of spiral through that healing process. So, how did you find that self love for yourself and that healing?
Right. And it is, it is self-love. I think it's self-love and it's self-acceptance at the end of the day. Um, when I went through a stage, so I was with my teacher for quite some time. I spent a lot of money on my trainings, like $85,000 invested in myself and my business and my growth. I lived in New York City. So there was a moment in time where basically I essentially felt like I was like, yes, this is it. I've done all the work and I've reached the top of the mountain and I'm doing great and I'm there, and I was like just shy of what I thought was the top of the mountain, whatever that is. And then it's like someone pulled the rug out from underneath me, because that was when um, I had this experience with my teacher that sort of broke that relationship. We broke up. I had a boyfriend and we broke up. I had a best friend. We broke up. I was living in New York City. I left my apartment and moved home to my parents' house, which was what plummeted me into what I often call like the pits of despair, like just the hopeless. Not even a dark night. I don't particularly love the term dark night of the soul, but it was the depths, right? It was like the depths of the depths of the depths. And that was where I realized, okay, I need to I need to be able to love and accept myself here now in this dark, sort of hopeless place that I've landed in. I need to be able to be okay in this space. And if I can love myself here, I can love myself anywhere. So, that's one of the things that I discovered or rediscovered, because so I'm not the first one to discover this, but it's kind of like, one of the things I teach in my program is everything's, we know as above, so below. So everything's a mirror image, which means if there's a pyramid and you're at the tippy top of the pyramid, if there's a mirror image, it means that there's a opposite journey, and that's a downward spiral. And if you hit the pit of the bottom of the depths, you actually hit the top. So I was sitting in that, and that was kind of where I realized, okay, for me to fully love myself and be this whatever you want to call it, enlightened being, or spiritual leader, or whatever, however you want to call yourself embodied, I call myself a fully embodied being. Um, I found it in the dark places,
Yeah.
and that gave me the height that I wanted, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. It's often in those, difficult moments, in those dark nights of the souls where we have the most spiritual growth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things where I, because I teach the feminine, the feminine methodologies, um, so many people have labeled the dark nights and the shadows. I mean, that it has such scary names.
Mhm.
It just sounds so bad. Hell, and like, like, oh, you're going through a dark night. And there's a lot of shame attached to it. Like when I would share with somebody and say honestly, authentically, listen, I'm dealing with some really heavy stuff right now. And I'm not afraid to admit that I'm looking at my shame, my grief, my this, my that. I would openly share that. And then I would get these sort of like, oh, you're just in a dark night. Do you know what I mean? This sort of like condescending, like pat on the head. Aren't you cute in your dark night of the soul type thing? And I'm like, no, no, no. I don't think you understand the courage that it takes to walk through the fire, walk through the dark, walk through the cave. Because
Yeah.
we all say we're doing it, but we're not actually doing it. And then when you do it, you're like, whoa, this is so foreign to me that I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know that those places in me existed. But the deeper I went, the more power, that's again, it's why I teach this journey. My whole program is built on the heroine's journey, and it's about leading you into the cave, taking you through it on purpose,
Right.
because I didn't realize that it was in those moments where I found my courage, where I found my love. Like the love, the unshakable love that's like, listen, I will love you no matter what. I didn't find that, at a spiritual retreat, dancing to happy music and, waving my arms and doing all the stuff that it's beautiful, beautiful experiences in those types of places.
Mhm.
But the things that really, where I learned the type of woman I am and the type of teacher I am, um, and what is available for healing and transformation, I learned that on my own,
Yeah.
sort of sitting there sad, hurt,
Mhm.
and there was no teacher at that point to pick me up off the ground. I felt like he kind of took his hands off and said, all right, you want to be really empowered, this one's all you. I'm not picking you up. You get up, you know, but powerful.
Yeah. I hear where you actually went deep inside and found your strength and courage and was able
Mhm.
to heal from that space, that
Right.
empowered feminine.
Yes,
Awesome.
exactly.
So, how do you empower women to find freedom from their past and their pain in your program?
So, as I just said, I built this program. I built it on purpose based on the heroine's journey, because the heroine's journey, um, if you know anything about the goddesses, you know that so many of them traveled through the underworld on purpose, right? Like they went actively seeking their truth, or sometimes not on purpose. They were snatched, or they were, buried, or they were put in a cave, or but somehow, so many of the goddesses ended up in very dark places,
Hmm.
like the caves, being buried. The Vestal Virgins, Persephone. So I looked at that and I realized that I believe that most of us are stuck somewhere in that cave, or in that's where the wounding, um, sort of like where the wounding keeps us.
Yeah.
So I realized that in order for me to help you actually change your story, or heal from the past, right, and rewrite your traumas and things like that, I had to build a program that systematically takes you through the process of breaking down your own journey and guiding you from the top down into the bottom, where you're actually sort of where you're stuck, where you're wounded, your dark night, right? Or whatever you want to call it, your shadows, and then guiding you back out the other side. Because what happens is most people do sort of like a half moon thing where they go like up, down, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you're up and you're down and you're up and you're down. And but that creates this kind of yo-yo effect, and there's no real transformation. So when I built the program, I built it consciously with this full circle, full cycle, so that you can take yourself from the top down to the bottom and break everything apart and then rebuild, so that when you come back, you're not bringing anything old with you. It's all new stuff, so that you're rebuilding your nervous system, you're rebuilding your cellular memory, you're actually changing everything. But we do it by going purposely through the tough stuff. So I've created it to kind of gently guide you there without um without leaving you on your own. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think that that was something that was always really scary for me, was the idea of what I experienced, where it was like, okay, I felt like I had a teacher and I trusted this person, and then they took me to the scariest parts, and then they were like, sorry, this part you have to figure out on your own. And that's valid and it's true, but I wanted to be sure that I could facilitate it so that there was something that could take you back home, where you didn't feel like you were abandoned or hurt or manipulated in any way. It was, that's the empowerment. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can choose. If you choose to move through your stuff, you'll never be disempowered to your pain, because you're consciously saying, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to look at this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're offering that support along with carrying through, a person through that ancient wisdom. And I
Yeah.
love how you're using that and using the metaphor,
Mhm.
that's so obvious in those stories.
Yes, it is. And that was something that, at first I was a little bit like, oh, I don't really know if women want to do this type of work. Like, do women want to play in um mythology like that? Like, do they want to envision themselves as mythic goddesses? Do they want to play with the elements? Do they want, and I was shocked, because I built into the program a couple specific exercises where I ask you to create your own avatar. So your own ultimate goddess. So you can pull, I want strength, I want confidence, I want wisdom, so you can create, like, you mix and match and create the goddess of your dreams, right? The person that you want to be. And in doing that, you do like um it's really fun. You do like a photo, sort of like a vision board. So you put together, images and stories and things like that. And then you actually write your myth, you write your fairy tale. And then you have a name and you come up with a name. So like one, she from the past cycle, one woman was Hestia, transformer of shame. um One was Bailey of the Wildflowers. I mean, they just create something that speaks from their soul. And then you have this energetic imprint of your ultimate self. So it's really fun, because it's like, we're working with the mythology and we're working with the consciousness of all of these goddesses.
Mhm.
But again, we're not reinventing the wheel, saying, okay, we're just going to keep what we've got, because the goddesses themselves went through trauma too. So we're updating as we go. And I just think it's really fascinating, because when I started doing this, um, I didn't know if they would like that. And across the board, when I ask women, what was your favorite part? They all say that. They all love the stories and the goddesses and things like that. And I love that, because that's the creativity and the express, it's fun to like build something for yourself instead of being told this is, because so many people do those diagnostics, and this is your archetype. They tell you who you are, And this is the opposite of that. It's like, I'm not telling you who you are. You choose who you want to be, and I'll teach you how to build it and be it, instead of being stuck in some label that someone else wants to tell you, well, you're the lover, you're the this, you're the that. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, you create it, which is fun.
Gosh, that is fun. What a great exercise. And it really empowers women to own their journey, to take ownership of who they are, and then be able to create or co-create for themselves really what they want their life to look like.
Right,
Because I think women for so long have just handed over our power. We've handed
right,
over our power, and it's nice to take ownership of
right,
ourselves again.
right, right. And it's like one of those things where people kept coming back to me, and when I would go to readings, like, because I go to astrologers and readings, I get readings too.
Yeah.
And every time I would go, they would say the same stuff. They're like, it's sovereignty, it's choosing yourself, it's healing all of these goddesses, healing Vesta, healing Sedna, healing Lilith. And there's all these really remarkably strong women that were so hurt because they were disempowered. They were um, basically told who they had to be instead of said, who do you want to be? And it is really interesting, because I think that I look at my journey because I started as an actress, and I often didn't like the fact that people were trying to tell me who to be. Do you know what I mean? It's like people were trying to tell me who I am, and I didn't like that, because they wanted me, oh, you're the prostitute, right? Like, they typecast me. And I
Wow.
think that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant. Don't let anybody tell you what your archetype is. Make your own, because my archetype was the holy prostitute. That was mine, and I was like, well, I don't really like that. I don't really want to be a sex object anymore.
Yeah.
I would like to be seen for my intelligence, my creativity. Like, I'm so over all of these things of, well, you look like this, or this is your story, and so this is who you have to be in this lifetime. And it was like, no, I don't think that we have to do that anymore. I think we're allowed to choose now. It's like, choose your own adventure.
Mhm.
And so by doing this, it allows you to go from whatever sort of story you were born into, and just literally write a new consciousness for yourself, and change, not just change, like the way you feel, but on a bigger picture, it does change a lot, because it's changing the cycle. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you don't have to live the suffering anymore. Like, you don't have to keep, because that's what I felt like. I kept getting abandoned. I kept getting used. I kept getting mistreated. I kept getting assaulted. I kept getting hit. I kept getting hurt. And it was like, that was my thing, was I kept opening myself up and then slam, and open myself up and slam,
Yeah.
and that's when I went, okay, I'm not really feeling this getting beaten up thing anymore. And the taxi, obviously, I mean, like, that's very clear. Getting hit by a car is a very physical manifestation of being hit.
Yes.
Um, and then even my teacher, because he was very um, abrasive with me, he was very sort of emotionally,
Yeah.
I don't want to say violent, but it felt like he assaulted me emotionally. And I know that in certain stories and lineages, that's what teachers did, right? That's what they do. They trigger your stuff. But
Mhm.
again, that's where I come back to this feminine methodology. It's like, you don't have to have someone like punch you just to get you to wake up, right? The feminine has the ability to just kind of illuminate and say, hey, I see this thing in you. Would you like to change this?
Yeah. And it's
So
from
much
a
better.
compassionate space,
Yes, exactly.
and
It,
very
it,
much taking the shame out of it.
right, right, exactly, exactly. So that's so much of what I've been trying to sort of crack the code for the last 11 years. What is this? What is this? Why is this working? What is going on here? And I'm not the only embodiment of feminine wisdom on the planet. Like, there's so many of us. But I think that one of the things that's confusing is that, because we don't know what it looks like or what it is, we all just kind of float around. We're a little bit more nebulous, and it doesn't allow us to see the value in being who we are. Do you know what I mean? Because I think I struggled for a long time because I had the compassion and the open heart and all that, but I was like, but so what? What's the value in that when you live in a world where you have to be a tough broad to get by? So, like, I think that was where I was like, I'm just really confused here, because can I be a compassionate, strong woman that nobody messes with, but is also loving and kind? Or do I have to be a bitch? Do
Mhm.
you know, like, or do I just be sweet and everyone kicks the crap out of me? Like, where's the middle ground? And that's why I call it fiercely feminine, because it's that balanced feminine, which is like, I am strong, I am here, I have boundaries, you do not mess with me,
Mhm.
because I deserve respect. And it's so different than like, I don't mess. Do you know what I mean? Like, the energy,
Yeah.
it's like confidence, it's the compassion, I think it's what we've been looking for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So often you see, this meek woman that doesn't want to speak up and is going with the flow and what is happening to her. And then you have the opposite, the very yang, from the yin, who feels
Right.
like, okay, I need to force this and push my way, to be heard and to be seen and to do this, that together. But coming into balance and bringing those two, that yin and that yang together,
Right.
being that fierce feminine, that's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is that. And I think it's just sort of like, I think we always thought like it was feminine versus masculine.
Mhm.
But when you bring it into, when you bring it into balance like that, they just kind of mirror each other. And it's interesting because I was one of those women that was like, I was almost like a nun, because after the last guy that I dated, I didn't even, um, like, I didn't date, I didn't have sex, like, I did nothing for so long. And I really kind of struggled with the whole thing because I just I couldn't place myself in relationships or like, I just couldn't quite figure it out. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of took a step back, was I realized, okay, I need to figure out how I want to be balanced before I add in a partner again, because I need to know what it is for me to be a fully embodied person, with light and dark, with feminine and masculine, fiercely feminine, whatever that looks like, for me. And then I can go back to relationships, and um, just this, I'm like, not March, but well, that's when COVID started, but just August, I met this man, and we hit it off really wonderfully very quickly. But I noticed right away that in him, I mean, he said all of the things that I always wanted a man to say, or how to treat me. Um, I respect you. I love what you stand for. I know I don't own you, but I want you to be mine, as in, like, I want to be with you and just with you. So I don't own you, but I wish to have you fully committed to me. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is so phenomenal, because I was someone that I struggled so much with relationships, business relationships, client relationships, teacher relationships, with men especially. And now here's this man, and he is so balanced in his expression too, that's just one of the beautiful layers of it, is like, when you get it within yourself, it doesn't mean, I think this is something that's like a ongoing conversation, is it's not about, that independent woman that doesn't need a man. Because I was like that. Oh, I don't need a man. And then, like, eventually I came around to, like, well, I'm kind of lonely, you know I don't want to be alone forever. I think I like being loved and supported. What's wrong with that? No shame,
Okay.
not in that.
No, and after doing the work and working on yourself, what you will attract is that co-partner,
Right.
more of a partner, not power over
Yes.
type of a situation.
Yes. And it's amazing because I mean it really is, that's what it's like. And I never had that. And even things like, we talk about silly things and well, they're not silly, but so, he'll say like, I really want, I if if we were to live together, um I always wanted one of those four poster beds with the like the sheer
Oh, the canopy.
fabric hanging over it. And I'm like, what? That is such a girly bed. That is so girly. And he's like, well, you know, I know I'm real, and he's like 6'2", like does contracting work, like
Mhm.
super duper masculine man. Um, drives a big truck and stuff. And I'm like, you want a fairy bed?
It's romantic.
I know, but I thought, wow, that's so great because that's so like, I love stuff like that. I mean, my bedroom is pink and purple and silver and gold. And, like to just have him say, well, I'm very masculine, but I do like soft things. I
So
like
it
soft
sounds
things.
like you've attracted someone who is also balanced.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And
Mhm.
that's why I think it's just so amazing to start to think about this. um I talk about the feminine, but it's not that feminine, um flowery, do you know what I mean? It is very much the um the balanced relationships. And the more I do this work, the more I see that that's where I've been going all along with this, is we're looking for balance. We're not, when I take someone through a program, that's why I take them through the full circle and make sure that we fully integrate and bring you all the way back home, because I want to be sure that you get the healing and you're integrated and you embody it so that you know who you are, so that you're not because the feminine is a danger a lot of times of, I know because I was that, where it was all like flighty and afraid of committing and afraid of getting trapped and afraid of getting hurt and afraid of being betrayed. Do you know what I mean? So I would do a lot of, um, I chose situations that were hurtful and non-committal on purpose because I was afraid of getting trapped or caught. So I had this unhealthy feminine, because that's the feminine, the flirty, the this, the that. I was so of that nature. And so I was disempowered because I was always in relationships with men who would use me and then throw me away because I didn't ask for respect. I didn't ask for any of that. And
Mhm.
it wasn't because I didn't love myself. It was because I think it was because I was afraid of ending up hurt again. But so I did this weird dance thing. And then once I got myself to a place of balance, all of a sudden, like commitment is cool, like honesty is cool, simplicity is cool, ease is cool,
Mhm.
speaking up for yourself is cool. And it's not like it hasn't been all like sunshine and roses. We had some very difficult conversations at the beginning of our relationship, like really challenging stuff. And I got really, I was very firm and I said, look, these are non-negotiables for me. And either you get this or you don't. And if you don't, then I guess we're not going to work out. And much to like, I was ready for him to be like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm out. And no, he didn't. He said, you know what? I, I am choosing you. I'm choosing you. I'm not choosing that thing that I believe in. I'm going to change my belief. I'm willing to actually see your side. I'm willing to see what you're saying and appreciate it. And then eventually he came around to saying, you know what, I thought about what you said, and I actually think you were right. You were right. And thank you for opening my eyes to something that I didn't know. I wasn't aware of. So thank you for changing this for me. So, um, it's more about, it's about the healthy functioning,
Mhm.
the ability to communicate. Like those are the kinds of changes um, that are the big shifts that I see in the women that go through the program. And even within myself is like, wow, in the past, I would have said nothing and I would have ended up very hurt. And I might have ended up in a dangerous situation.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of being vague about it, and there's really no reason. Our disagreement was around sexual protection, right? So basically, like condoms, no condoms type
Yeah.
stuff, right? And I mean, we're all adults here; we can talk about sex, but and I was like, hey, listen, if we don't do this thing, there could be a baby, and then I have to handle the fact that there is a baby, and I don't want to go through the emotional fear of having to be afraid that there could be a baby, or God forbid there is a baby, having to go through the anguish of making a choice whether I want to keep that baby or not. And I said, this is the kind of stuff that comes with this responsibility. I don't want to go through any of that emotional labor, so please don't put me in that position. And the reason why it's important is because when I was younger, I was in a very similar situation and I didn't say anything. Do you know what I mean? I just zipped my lips and was like, I hate this. I hate this. I want out of this. Please, God, get me out of here.
Right.
And I didn't say anything. So, like, that's why this is so important and crucial to kind of understanding the value, because you see how it changed the story. Because when I was 15, I ended up sexually assaulted because I didn't speak up and I didn't say no. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think I had a choice. And this time I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I am a 40-year-old woman. I am empowered. I know my self-worth and I know what I'm willing to do and not do. And I'm going to speak up and I'm going to explain, not angrily, but just very clearly, this is why I need you to do this.
Yeah.
Do you
Beautiful.
know what I mean? And
Owning your voice. No, it's owning your voice, having a voice, setting clear boundaries, knowing your yeses and
right,
your nos, and then seeking mutual respect.
right,
That's beautiful.
right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, if you think about it, it changes everything
It does.
because it takes away the stress, the fear. Um, so many of us have anxiety around the fact that we might end up in a situation where we have to stand up for ourselves. So we stay shut down
Mhm.
because we don't want to ever end up in a hurtful situation again.
Right.
So we just don't open up
Yeah, we
because
want
we,
people to love us,
right. So
and we're
you don't
seeking it.
have, yeah, you don't have the skills. Um, and that's a big change.
It's huge. And it's amazing when you go through it. I personally went through a similar transformation. Yeah. So I applaud you. And I applaud you taking this program to women.
Thank
So
you.
your method is called the ShaktiBOMB method. So is there
Yeah.
anything else that we need to know about that method? You know that you're working with women?
So the basic gist of it is, so I built this methodology, I built this system to work on multiple levels at once. So it will target emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual all in one. So
Yeah.
you can address, all of those issues with this system, which is really great. The other thing is it works mind, body, soul too. So when I'm working with you and when I'm either doing one-on-one sessions or I'm taking you through meditations or even teaching, I specifically built it so that it would help you rewire your brain. So we're talking neuroplasticity, right? Changing the processing in your brain while also clearing the cellular memories from your body and helping you make shifts on all these levels at once. Again, because for you to change something, it's not just in your head and it's not just in your body, right? It's like a
Mhm.
full transformation. And I think that one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of times people do get a healing, because this used to happen to me at first, right? I would go to a healer, um, I would experience the healing, I would be like, wow, that was amazing, I feel so much better, thank you, and then I would leave.
Mhm.
And then I'd be like, well, I don't really know what happened and I don't really know what they did. So, like, um, I don't really know like how to explain it, or I don't know if it's really going to work. And then the brain's like, yeah, I don't really get this. I don't understand it. therefore I can't believe it. I can't hold on to it. And the healing kind of gets undone.
Right.
So when you're experiencing ShaktiBOMB, you are getting a step-by-step process that you can repeat every single day to help train your system to hold on to the changes so that your brain understands it, your body understands it, so you can actually remember it and hold the changes. Because sometimes you experience a healing, it feels great, but then 2 days later, it's gone. And you're like, I don't know why I had it, now I don't have it. So that's something that's very different about this. And the other thing that's really wonderful is that it's pretty much, it's very custom designed, meaning the healing is guided by me, facilitated by me, or by, if someone was trained in this, right, the healer. But the actual subconscious, your subconscious, is the one guiding you. So it's pretty much, I'm not telling you what to see. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking you to tell me what you see and what you want to do, and then teaching you how to take what you see and what you want to do and create your own healing. So it's led by me, but it's facilitated by you. And again, it just helps your body hold on to the changes at a deeper level because it's coming from you, not me, right? Like when someone, like you're hearing my theme here, like when someone tells you who you are, like I don't like it, right? Don't tell me that I was raped. Don't tell me that I'm a victim. Don't tell me that my trauma is my problem. Like I've heard all this stuff, right? Everyone loves to tell everybody what's wrong with them. And I'm always like, get out of here. Don't tell me who I am. Let me discover it. And again, it's like, if you discover it for yourself, your subconscious is like, yes, cool. I think I'm a prostitute. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you're like, wow, I just discovered this thing about myself. And it's so amazing that I feel really good about the fact that I found it, and I'm going to change it. And I want to talk about it, and I want to heal it, as opposed to someone sitting down and saying, hey, listen, your trauma is a problem for you. Do you know? And I've experienced that, and it never feels good. And it's like, get out of here. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I love that you're self-empowering the participants, that they're able to walk through their own journey, to gain the strength, to be able to learn what their patterns are, possibly what their stuck energy is, their hidden trauma, their limiting beliefs. And then by working with that, they're able to build up their energy to be able to hold on to the healing, longer.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm. I love that process. Personally went through a similar process, through the schooling that I did for the healing work that I do, and love working with clients to be able to walk them through their process and uncovering, these similar things, and then helping people work so then their energy systems can hold it for much longer,
Exactly.
and it's, awareness and working through it and observing it, healing it, and being able to, just gently pull off the layers, and they're doing it on their own.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, you've said a couple of my favorite words, gently, right? I love gentle healing. And on your own, the discovery, all of that. I think because I had a chance to kind of witness the different ways, and different strokes for different folks, right? And some people will do really well with that type of stuff, but for me, I was like, you know what, I would rather have someone lovingly show me my stuff and say, hey, like, it's kind of like grandma, grandpa, right? Like, would you want your grandma who like makes you soup and reads you stories? And I mean, and some people have grandfathers like that too. So it's not like, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's like, usually your grandma is the one that's like, let's make cookies. Let's like be sweet. And, or at least one of my grandmothers was. And then the grandfathers were always like, give me my martini. Like, I just got, like, they were just like, again, this is my experience of grandma and grandpa, not everybody's experience. As I'm saying it, I'm like, wait a minute, not everyone's grandma and grandpa are like this. What are you talking about? But if you were me, it was just kind of that thing of like, which would you rather have? The nurturing, sort of kind, loving energy that makes you feel good about yourself
Mm-hmm.
and helps you feel safe, or the one that's a little bit more like aggressive and um like a coach, a football coach, or a, you know what I mean, like. And it makes sense to the reason why it's called ShaktiBOMB is because Shakti is feminine, and so Shakti is powerful, right? It's
Yes.
creative life force energy. It's strong, it's direct, it's forceful, um, very potent in its power. But it's the creative side of it. So it's more fluid and it's a little bit more expressive and free to allow you to experience what you need to experience. Whereas the masculine is that Shiva, which is like, my teacher was a Shiva teacher. So he was like, like, I'm gonna blow you up, and you're like, no, please don't blow me up. So the being beaten up, like, Shiva, I don't need you to like whack me one more time. I will gently open. Don't smash me anymore. Like, don't smash me.
There's a time and a place for the hammer, but it's much nicer to go through the Shakti process. For
Yes.
that divine, that fiercely feminine, where you as a teacher can point it out, but not be, destructive about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very seldom, I don't get the hammer out, like you said, like. And I remember, so I had, after my experience with my male teacher, there was a woman that I went to for some sessions, and she is the more Shakti, more nurturing. And, and she kind of said that. She was like, well, like, which would you like? And I felt like her approach was much more like, okay, I'm a lump of clay and I'm sculpting myself and I'm gently doing this, and there's still pressure and there's still work, but it's not that, like, whereas he used to say, like, I'm a bowl smasher, like, his language was aggressive because that's what Shiva does, the smashing, the breaking, breaking someone down to build them up. And I was just like, okay, I don't, I've done that, I think,
Mhm.
so many lifetimes where I always ended up kind of like broken down somehow, beaten up somehow. And I'm like, there is another way. And I think that there are more of us that are ready to choose this other this other path that maybe hasn't been as popular for quite some time because it just wasn't as prominent,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's bringing that divine feminine back in. And well, how great that you could actually experience that, though, that you could
Mhm.
learn from that experience and be able to take that into your own practice and be like, I don't want that.
Right.
And I don't want to be that for my clients.
Right. Oh no. Well, and I
Worth
also
it.
just kind of, yeah, I mean, no, you don't want that. I didn't want that.
Yeah. You were saying, go ahead.
Oh, I have no idea now. It's gone, come and gone. I think what I was saying was mostly just like, yeah, it's not only did I not want it, but I felt like you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, although it's not vinegar, it's like gasoline. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it comes back to that whole thing of like me not understanding the value of being the compassionate, because I've always often thought, like, when you look at so many of the feminine archetypes, a lot of them are very misunderstood because, sometimes I will channel the frustration of the female archetypes, and
Mhm.
I'll be like, you know chatting with Kuan Yin, and she'll be like, I'm not a doormat. Like, I did not sign up to be the compassionate one that takes on the suffering for everyone else and just lays here like a doormat. I'm getting up and I'm ready to speak about something new. So I think that that's where the archetypes, the creating your own archetype, gets so exciting, because it's like, listen, you can have the loving, compassionate side of Kuan Yin, and you can have that, a healthy embodiment of that, but you can also have, the fire and the strength of Shakti, or uh, sometimes I'll go off into the Egyptian goddesses, or the Tibetan goddesses. There's so many different. They're all very much the same, but just the different flavors.
Yes.
And so you can bring it into balance, and you don't have to be that um, unhealthy version of Kuan Yin, which is what I was, where I was so compassionate, but like everybody was taking a dump on me,
Mhm. Yeah, the people.
wiping their feet on me, and I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
this stinks.
enough.
Enough. I want to be equal, equal within ourselves. The equal within ourselves is the beautiful thing, because then you can have the relationships with the clients, with the with a man, with a woman, romantically, whatever that you're looking for, and have a healthy, respectful relationship. That I just think that so many of us don't understand
Mhm.
what that looks like, because we just haven't, we didn't know it existed.
Mhm. And it starts in here,
Hmm.
and it's relearning.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's why it's an immersion program, and why it's like step by step, bit by bit, because I need to help you relearn, break down all the old stuff, help you identify, okay, I'm doing this, and this. These are the things that I'm doing that are causing me pain. I'm going to get rid of these, and I'm going to start doing this, and this instead. And so you are just changing your behaviors, you're changing your processing, you're changing your emotions, you're changing your reactions, by virtue of actually identifying what are the things that you've been doing that have been causing you pain, you know
Right. Awesome. What can women expect when they join your Fiercely Feminine immersion program, which starts October 19th, everyone?
does start October 19th. So it's a very high touch program. Most people go through the program and they're like, I can't believe how much support I'm getting. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? I built it to have that level of support, so that you get 4 private sessions with me, which is in itself really valuable, because that's where we pick through the more intense stuff, and I can help you with the in-depth processing, and helping you clear the traumas and things like that. And then you have the 8 group classes, and the community of women always turns out to be supportive, sisterhood. These, by the time we're done with, we finish with the 8th class, and then they're like, well, we want to meet. We still want to meet every Tuesday. We want to keep getting together, and I go, oh, well, I wish that I could keep getting together with you for free, but I can't. So, when the program is done, I'm in the process of building a a certification program for ShaktiBOMB, and then a membership. So there are other, it trickles into other things, but this program itself is really like nothing else out there on the marketplace right now, because of the fact that I am so present, and my Voxer, right? Voxer is like a walkie-talkie,
Mhm.
which means my office hours are available Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, meaning when stuff's coming up for you, unlike a lot of coaches, or a lot of people out there that are like, don't message me unless it's important.
Mhm.
I'm like, tell me everything. Tell me anything you want. Not, okay. Don't tell me everything, but listen, if something comes up and you're excited about it, tell me. If you're struggling with something, tell me. Don't keep it in. Don't do it yourself. Don't think you're bothering me. You're not bothering me. Just send me a message, and I will get back to you, and I will help you process it. I will help you clear it. I will tell you what to do so that you can heal it fully. So that means I'm not going to leave you hanging, and I'm not going to like trigger you and say like, oh, we just found that big wound. Now your job is to go journal about it for a week. Don't come back to me until next week. It's like, no, in the moment, this is real time healing. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that you can expect to get um, a lot of support, more than you might even realize that you needed.
Mhm.
um, and because of that, the transformations are so rapid and so fast. Most women that go through the program, I get the same feedback every single time. This is the best investment I ever made in myself. This is the best, this is the best program I've ever done. And some of them have done a lot of programs out there. And the reason why is because of the fact that I make sure that you get it.
Yeah.
I'm not just like, well, this is my method and too bad. It's like, okay, like I had one woman, she wasn't very visual. So when we would do guided meditation, she couldn't see stuff, right? So she would go to other people's programs and she couldn't see, and they would be like, well, there's something wrong, like you should be able to see. And when I worked with her, I said, okay, you're not a seer right now. That's okay. I'm going to teach you how to feel your way through these meditations. So, stuff like that. It's like other people would just say, oh, I'm sorry, I guess my stuff doesn't work for you. And I'm like, no, you have a different kind of processor, and I'm going to show you how to work with your energy.
Nice.
You can do it. You do it in a different way. So that's the personal side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meeting your clients where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And midwifing them through, it feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Katie. And tell us all about, when does it start? How long?
Yep, it starts October 19th, and it's an 8-week program. So it will run 8 consecutive weeks. We meet on Tuesday nights and 8 p.m. Eastern. The classes are recorded. If for some reason you couldn't do it live, you can always watch the replays. And that's pretty much it. So the one-on-ones are scheduled on your own time. You do typically like one at the beginning, one 4 weeks in, one 6 weeks in, one 8 weeks in. So you get, support throughout.
Nice.
And that's really it. It's really quite simple. And then by the time you're done, you've got this beautiful archetype that you've built, your goddess archetype, your energy, and you graduate with that. You get a diploma. You get a certificate. I just ordered the certificates today for this last cycle.
That's awesome. How do people reach you, Katie? How do people reach you?
I'm like, what? How to reach me? So the best way to contact me, I am on Instagram all the time. My DM box is always open. My handle is I am Katie Kozlowski. My website is katiekozlowski.com. The way you spell my name, because I've been told it's difficult, is KatieKozlowski, just like it sounds. You could go to the website, and there's some free gifts there. There's a button to book a call. There's information about this program. So you can find everything you're looking for there, or you are more than welcome to find me on Instagram and just shoot me a DM and say, hey, I heard you. I'm interested in the program, or I have a question, and I will get back to you.
Awesome. And is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with today?
I used to say all this flowery stuff, and I think that the most important thing, really, like if I've learned one thing, that the most important thing is it really is about being human. Like, I really think that we're in the age of humanity. So you don't have to be afraid of the fact that there's some stuff in your life that might have hurt you, or that you're not perfect, or that you're not like all light, right? So many of us, we're light workers, and we're like, but I have a lot of darkness in me. Does that make me bad? Where I sit, that makes you human. And the more human you are, the more good work we can do in this world. So I'm in the business of being human. And I encourage you to open up to your human side more and more. And when you do, you will be amazed at how things change. It's just wonderful.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for doing the work. It is so needed, in the past needed, definitely needed right now. That divine feminine is rising, and it's so awesome that you're doing the work for so many women. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you everyone for joining me again. This is Liz Peterson at Raise the Vibe with Liz. Have a great day, everybody. Remember to get out there and raise the vibe. Thank you, everyone.